Good evening. Thank you for joining us yet again here on the Wolfpack Sports Network for another edition of the Owner's Spotlight. This week, we're going to take a much more lighthearted approach to one of the owners that have done just so much more for the league than they have hurt. Unlike the previous 2 weeks, we have taken a look at Jeremy and Seth, both of which we found deep down they were disturbed individuals. This week, however, we take a look at one of the more modern-day Renaissance men, you might say, a man of all seasons, Joe Wyatt. As we begin our journey to learn about Joe, we must first just take a look at a little bit of his history. He was once a modern-day drifter, you might say, roaming around, showing up basically wherever the wind took him. After that, he disappeared for a few years. Later re-emerged as the new lead vocalist for the hit group Hollywood Undead. So after a short but very successful musical career, Mr. Wyatt then tried his hand at acting. As you can see by this picture here, he originally was cast for the newest installment of the Men in Black series. However, after the very first screenplay, the critics believed that he just did not look enough like Will Smith to get the job done. So, we all know what happened after that. Mr. Smith is back in action. Mr. Wyatt, out of work, as far as acting is concerned anyway. He still continued, however, to rake in millions in his fantasy team. Still, somehow managed to find the time to donate so much to the local community, as seen here. We notice that he has just an overwhelming ability to make everyone feel at home. Chuck E. Cheese, his best friend. When asked about just really why he picked Chuck E. Cheese as to be, the organization that he devoted his time and effort into, he simply stated, "I fucking love that mouse." However, Chuck E. Cheese is not the only charity or non-profit group, really, that Joe decides to spend much of his time, devoting a lot of his time, resources, and just energy into trying to make our community a better place. As you can see by this picture here, he has recently decided to start donating large amounts of his time, money, into a lesser-known group. They're simply known as the HAC. That is the Homosexuals Anonymous Club. Lesser-known group that really takes still in-the-closet gays and pairs them together. Sort of like an online dating site for homosexuals. Mr. Wyatt, whenever asked, "Joe, you're not gay. Why are you helping out here?" He simply stated, "I was fucked up." Fair enough. We all make mistakes, soldier. You are forgiven. Now, what else do we have to know about Joe? Well, he recently decided to give his musical career another try. He kind of took a more mellow approach from the Hollywood Undead days and tried his hands at reggae. As you can see, obviously, under the influence of some substance, what we will not get into detail. However, believe it or not, his reggae album has recently took off and is now numbered 913th on the iTunes Chop charts. So, believe it or not, it could be worse. So now that we know a lot about Mr. Wyatt himself, you might ask, what does he do in his free time when he is not helping with charity organizations? Just what does Mr. Wyatt do for fun? Well, we have the answer. our researchers have recently turned out that Mr. Wyatt is without a doubt the U.S. champion of cornhole, shown here. We can see that they are basically rewriting the history, the record books, anything associated with past records of the Cornhole Association of America, the CAA. Mr. Wyatt, we asked him exactly why did you choose cornhole? How did you get into this sport? It turns out that in his extensive days of tailgating, he became a ringer, hustling drunks. Well played, Mr. Wyatt. Well played. So, as you can see, our league needs more men like this. Trustworthy men that just, they don't believe in really hurting anyone else. As far as physically, emotionally, does he believe in laying down beatdowns on the fantasy gridiron? Hell yes. He's ruthless. Always a fierce competitor. You might be asking yourself, this sounds like a great person to cheer for. How is his team doing? Well, so far this year, he has done a hell of a job of GM, mixing and matching lineups from his injury-ridden team. So, can he make some noise in the playoffs? That is yet to be determined. We will soon find out. So, this is going to conclude our broadcast of Mr. Wyatt. On behalf of the WPSN, I would like to thank you all for tuning in. I would like to encourage you all to meet back here the same time next week, whenever we take on yet another owner. And we can only hope that it goes as smoothly as this one. Odds are, no chance in hell. However, we're going to do it anyway. That being said, I wish you all a very fond good evening and a lovely peace out.